Hello and welcome to Ecoholics. In this video, we will discuss about how to start economics optional preparation from scratch. Generally, students from economics background, they prefer economics optional, and students from engineering background, they also prefer economics optional. So if you are one of them, you can opt for this optional. People not from economics background, they are generally scared of this optional, but I'll break certain myths while taking this lecture. Here, you need to keep in mind that while taking economics as an optional subject, you need to understand length and breadth of the subject. If you compare this optional with other optional, you have to see the relativity as well. Like for example, other popular options, people generally are in numbers of 1800 to 2200 or 2500 as well, people writing mains. But here in economics optional, the number is less, although the competition is also less. So here, what we will discuss about the optional, how to start. But before that, I would like to let you know things which are very important before starting or before choosing any optional. So I've covered this in another video, how to choose optional. You can watch that. And I've covered my topic of why to choose economics optional as your optional subject in UPSC in another video. Both videos link will be given in the description. You can watch it later. Now, for economics optional students, you need to have the conceptual clarity. Generally, people say that economics as a subject, which is very much current based, but let me tell you, if you see the syllabus of paper 1 and paper 2, you will find 75% of the syllabus is very much static. Like for example, paper 1 is full static. There's like hardly any current related things they are asking. If you see the last 5 years question paper, question themes are repeating. I'm not saying the exact questions are repeating, but if you see the syllabus, the concepts written in the same thing, same language, but the question, the way they are framing the questions has been changing. So it's like talking about Herod-Domer model. They're asking from this way to that way and all other way possible, but they are asking the question on Herod-Domer model. This is important. So if we cover the whole model, you will be able to tackle any kind of question that they ask. So here you need to understand what exactly you need to prepare. Second thing, in paper 2, if you see this paper, which is Indian economy, but before economic reforms 1991, the syllabus and the content is almost static. So Indian economy before independence is static content. Indian economy before 1991, from 47 to 91 is also static. The only current aspect that require a direct question in this is post 1991. Although in paper 2, you have to integrate current affairs whenever possible. And in paper 1, you have to incorporate diagrams in almost alternate questions. So here we will discuss all these things in this video. If you are interested in learning more about economics optional, I conduct 3 hours economics optional workshop, which is absolutely free for registration. Link is given in the first comment as well as description to register for this workshop absolutely free. In those 3 hours, I have decoded syllabus, PYQs, how to prepare notes, how to read newspaper, how to do answer writing, how to revise, etc., etc. So make sure that you register for it. Now, starting economics as an optional subject, you have to have a strategy for UPSC examination. Now, UPSC examination is having 2 major portions. Like when I talk about preliminary examination and when I talk about mains. So here we are talking about mains examination, and obviously personality test, which we call interview, comes at later stage. So here if you see, economics as an optional subject is very much beneficial in mains. So 500 marks directly of the optional out of 1750 plus 125 marks of GS paper 3, generally almost economics. Then 1 essay you will get from economics, and somewhere around ethics and plus history, you will get approximately 50 marks in GS1 as well. That is helping economics optional students in GS1 and ethics GS4. Some case study related to finance and banking. So this is overall, you can say here almost 800 marks of mains marks out of 1750. 1750. And in preliminary examination, you can expect easily 15 to 20 questions every year. And if your optional is economics, then your whole interview relies on economics and the newspaper. So you will get the benefit. So you can see that 800 out of 1750 is sure shot for economics optional student, and in preliminary as well 15 to 20 questions based on economics and current related issues. Now we talk about economics as an optional subject. Under the syllabus, if you see, first I'll talk about GS plus optional. So we have GS 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have essay on top, and then we have Eco optional 1 and Eco optional 2. Now how to strategize your preparation? If you see cost benefit analysis, and if I put this essay paper here, okay, and then again GS4 paper here. Now here you see the cost benefit analysis. What does it mean? It means the effort to the return. So here you have to put more efforts, and here you have to put less effort in comparison to the first block. This block contains 750 marks, okay, and this block contains 1000 marks. And here putting less effort with limited syllabus, you can gain more marks. Here there is a huge syllabus, like if you see GS1 and 2 and even 3, you will get huge amount of books, resources, practice, and still I'm sure that you are not able to score much in GS1, 2, 3. So if you have this strategy where economics will be helping here, 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 as well as here, you will gain a huge advantage, especially when competing with the people in the mains examination. Now coming on to the syllabus of economics as an optional subject, okay. So it's a short video. I'm covering each and everything very briefly. So this is paper 1 of economics option and paper 2. Now you know the syllabus. There are several other videos on internet available about the syllabus, but here we'll see the syllabus from a very different angle. In paper 1, if you see, which is majorly static, so if I say it's micro, if I say it's macro, then money, or generally I called money, banking and finance, then we have development economics, and we have international economics, and some portion of environment also here, but generally not a very huge amount of portion they ask here. Now if you see this syllabus, I'll talk about sources as well in like third point or fourth point. And in paper 2 we have 3 divisions. One is before 1947, then 1947 to 91, and then we have 1991 till date. If you see this syllabus, 5 portion here and 3 portions are here. Now covering the syllabus of both these papers are very different. The approach must be very different. For example, paper 2 of any optional, if you see in UPSC examinations, related to India. The same line, economics optional, is also related to Indian economy in paper 2. Paper 1 is static. If you read GS, there are 2 kinds of people, those who choose economics option. One type of people, those who have the background of economics and then they take. So when they have the background and then they take, this looks easy. But if you are choosing economics as an optional subject with with interest generated from general studies paper, you will start from here and you will move to here. So the struggle remains same for both these kind of students. One is those who love paper 1, they will struggle in paper 2. Those who love paper 2 just because they have the interest while reading GS, they will struggle in paper 1. So struggle will be same, but I'll tell you how to approach that struggle, because UPSC examination is not a small examination. You will become an IAS officer or IPS officer. So here it requires a lot of effort. If you think the optionals are easy, I would say 100% with 100% guarantee you can check any optional. It looks easy on eyes on top, but once you dig deep, you will realize how much effort you need to put in. So for example, if you say this option is easy, that option is tough, let me tell you, it is truly based on your interest. Because if UPSC had to discriminate among all the options, they would have not given these many choices. So if they have given so many choices in optional, they generally tend to neutralize that. So what I say is, generally they do not discriminate, but if possible, what I'm saying is that your approach should be crystal clear in mind. So for example, we start from paper 1. So those who understand GS, those who love reading GS economy, they will feel that paper 2 looks very easy, but scoring marks in paper 2 is very, very difficult. I'll tell you why. In paper 1, for example, suppose related to international economics, one question asked related to Heckscher-Ohlin model. And in that you have to write assumptions. So while writing assumptions, every other student will write the same assumptions. One or two students will write less points, but more or less the points will remain same. But if suppose a question comes in Indian economy paper, where they will be asking your opinion on certain issues, like for example, subsidies versus investment, or growth versus inflation, every other student will write a different perspective in their answer. Still there's a possibility they will get the same marks. So here what exactly we need to understand is the approach of both these papers are very, very different. In paper 1, it is majorly static. So micro, macro, the syllabus is defined, and like for example, money, banking, finance, development, environment economics, and international economics. The syllabus is static. If you cover this from the sources, you will be able to cover this syllabus approximately in 3 months. Now, if I talk about paper 2, paper 2 is very much difficult. Why? Because if you see, looks very easy on eyes, you will enjoy reading it, but writing is a challenge, understanding is a challenge, and forming opinions, which is obviously the part of UPSC examination, whether it's GS or optional, you will face certain challenges if you struggle in that. Every optional has its limitations. Like for example, some optional require you to rote learn, some optional require you to remember facts, dates, some optional will require you to integrate current affairs. So there are several kinds of optional. In this, economics as an optional, I feel paper 2 is about forming opinion, integrating current affairs, and writing structured answer. Paper 1 is all about what the model is saying. You have to replicate the model. But if they ask any modification, like by removing one assumption, what will be the impact of this model? So here you need to see what exactly they are asking. Majorly, the answer will remain same. So in a twisted language, UPSC is forming the question in paper 1, but in paper 2 is more dynamic. Let's move on to the second point. Now here, what I'm talking about is always you face the opportunity cost with time. From minute 1 of this lecture, I'm telling you that time is a factor. Everyone can study on their own if you have 5 years to prepare for this examination. Everybody can pass this examination if you have 6 hours to write a particular paper instead of 3 hours given by UPSC. So here the factor which you need to keep in mind is time. And when time comes, you understand that priorities come. Like for example, in a day, we cannot sit with a family, we cannot go and study, we cannot hang out with the friends, we cannot go watch movie. What we need to do? We need to prioritize our things. Like if we are studying, preparing for UPSC, our priority is to prepare. Our priority is to read newspaper, attend the classes, and study, revision, etc., etc. So here again, the factor is time. Time to read. You cannot read everything. Now here, reading is very vital. Why? Because if you see in the previous slide, I told you that all the subjects are there. But here you can see the dominance. So out of 500 marks, you can see dominance of this paper, that is 250 marks of Indian economy. So again, you have to prioritize this. Like time, I have to read newspaper at any cost. If I do not read newspaper, I will not be updated with the current issues. Then reading about important subjects. Like for example, people generally search one topic in several books and they waste a lot of time, and generally that topic you may not expect the question. If you expect the question, there will be choice given, so you can easily leave that question. So here what I'm saying is you have to prioritize topics. Like for example, Indian economy is a game changer. You cannot skip that. What are the sources? I'll come to the next slide. But here you need to understand. So at Ecoholics, what we encourage the students to make their personal timetable. So if you want your personalized timetable, you can contact us. But making the timetable is very vital, is very easy as well. But following the timetable is very important. How many of you have made a timetable and did not follow for like even a day or a week or a month? The reason is very simple, because we do not understand our capacity and we make the timetable too rigid. These are the two basic problems in your timetable. So we'll discuss that in some other day. But here, what is important is books and sources. So under microeconomics, although I've covered this in a full lecture with books and all, but here I'll discuss majorly in terms of what exactly you need to do. So money, banking, finance, development and environment, and then we have international economics. Now here generally people are confused between Indian author and foreign author. I'll tell you, if people say these are the bad books and these are the good books, I will honestly recommend you, no book is bad, no book is good, depending on what exactly the purpose of that book. So if you think a book written for undergraduation, a book written for semester examination, if you implement the same book to your UPSC examination, you will struggle, because the book has not been written by keeping in mind UPSC examination. So if you open any book, if you see Uma Kapila, if you open that book, clearly written that it is for DU's examination, semester examination of Indian economy, etc. If you see Mishra and Puri and Dutt and Sundaram, they are data heavy books, and that data actually does not require in this examination. Now you will say, sir, you are saying all the books are having certain problems. So what I say here, that we cannot criticize books. Okay, this book is not written. But what I wanted to say here, that you have to read the book with perspective of UPSC syllabus. So you have to pick and choose. Like for example, in microeconomics, H.L. Ahuja Advanced Microeconomics is the best book. But you don't have to read from cover to cover. Cover to cover reading, we have done that in our school or maybe in colleges. But in UPSC examination, cover to cover reading is a foolish act that students generally involve in, and they end up wasting their time. So what here you need to understand is, for microeconomics, you have to read H.L. Ahuja by H.L. Ahuja Advanced Microeconomics. Now there are certain chapters that you need to read. If you want that list, you can just connect on me on my WhatsApp number. I'll give you the PDF of which chapter you need to read of all the books that I will recommend. So don't worry about that. Don't note anything. Just listen carefully in this lecture. For microeconomics, H.L. Ahuja, but obviously this will not cover all the syllabus. So for some topics, you need to see other books as well. You need to refer other books as well. For macroeconomics, generally people say Dornbusch and Fisher, H.L. Ahuja also available, Richard Froen is available. But what I say, if you see Indian and foreign author gives the perspective. Foreign authors are good at storytelling. So if you are reading any foreign author, you will get conceptual clarity. But if you are reading Indian author, you will get information. So conceptual clarity from foreign author and information from Indian author, if we club together, that is what we have done in our economics optional hard copy study material that we give to our batch live class students. So what I say, you have to do a mix and match of both these. Then money, banking and finance, people say read H.L. Bhatia. People say Musgrave and Musgrave. I would say it's a mixture of both. Again, the foreign author versus Indian author analogy here. Development and environment. So this is like a mix of things. You will find H.L. Ahuja of Development Economics as well. It's a decent book. And people say A.P. Thrilwal. People say Todaro. What I say is you go topic wise here. Even if you find good thing in IGNU notes, even if you find good thing in DU notes, this is what exactly we have compiled in our study material. So development and environmental economics, generally a mix of that. You don't have to read the full books. Okay. And then we have international economics. So Salvatore is considered as Bible. I think almost 95% topics covered in international economics Salvatore. If you find something is missing, you can refer to Paul Krugman. So 1 or 2 topics are there in that. Now here in Indian economy, so before 1947, only one book is there, Tirthankar Roy. Then 1947 to 91 and 1991 till date. I refer Uma Kapila, that big bulky 1000 pages book, that will give you a perspective. I would say that that same book you cannot replicate in answer writing. There are reasons for that, I'll explain. But it will give a storyline. Even if you are reading modern history by Bipin Chandra, so there's another book called as Post-Independence. So after like 1947, they have written a book. In that book, there are 4 chapters of economy. If you struggle in reading Uma Kapila, read that Bipin Chandra book of Post-Independence, 4th chapter of economy first, and then come to Uma Kapila. That will give you the perspective of the policymakers since independence. And after 1991, I would say here, 3 things very important. One is newspaper, second is EPW magazine, and the third one is that it was what we call independent research. I'll tell you how to do that. Number 1 is newspaper. After 1991, whatever will come like insolvency and bankruptcy code, it's connected with Competition Act, it's connected with 1991 economic reforms. EPW, why it is important? Commentary. If you read commentary, you will get the perspective on different policies. Like I told you, subsidies versus investment. Government is giving huge amount of subsidies. Instead of subsidy, if they build assets by investing something, farmers will become independent. Growth versus inflation. RBI is always confused, always debating. Independent research means if you find some topic, you search that topic on Google and write newspaper name. Maybe The Hindu, Indian Express. You will find several articles. Read latest 3 or 5 if you have time. And then it will cover your several topics linked with current affairs. So this is majorly the books and resources in short. Now we talk about study plan. So I always give my students in my live batch a 5 months plan. What does it mean? 5 months plan should be divided into several months. So I can say month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4 and month 5. While studying economics as an optional, I would say first 2 months it should be eco optional plus newspaper. Okay, no GS. Then 3, 4 GS plus Indian economy. Okay, and that is where you will gain the perspective. So first 2 months for static, 3 and 4 months revision of this and GS plus Indian economy. And the 5th month is revision and answer writing. Because what we do in our classes is we do live answer writing. So you will be writing answer in front of me on my live classes, Zoom classes, or maybe on Ecoholics mobile app. You will be writing with camera on. So here to give the perspective. So this is majorly the study plan that we have. Revision techniques and others I've covered in another videos. Now here what is important is current affairs. So current affairs are 2 things. One is thoughts. It means while studying any static concept, your newspaper should come in there. Like for example, you're reading inflation chapter. It is very important to have inflation perspective, recent monetary policy committee, economic survey data, what is the stance of government, what is the stance of RBI, why government people are saying RBI should reduce the repo rate to fuel growth, when RBI is concerned more about inflation, which is suddenly rising after the rainy season. You know why? Because of food inflation and all. And second, here after So when your current affairs will become the thought, it will be replicated in answers. So in answers, generally what people do is people generally not able to integrate current affairs. Like for example, I'm writing something about Manreka, I'm not able to write the recent data. I'm writing certain things about, for example, in India and other countries bilateral policy, I'm not able to write examples of that. So here, integrating examples, facts, data, very, very important, because UPSC wants you to think from an economist perspective while writing an answer. It's not GS answer. That's why it is called general studies and this is called optional subject. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to register for a 3 hours free workshop on economics optional where I covered majorly all your questions and queries. If you still have any questions, write it in the comment section and tell me one important thing. For you, which one is difficult for you, paper 1 or paper 2? Because it's all about perspective. So I want my viewers to see in the comment section that different perspective have different answers. So it's like if you're good in paper 1, you have to work on paper 2 and vice versa. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Give a big thumbs up and subscribe this channel to get more update about economics optional and other economics related examination. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.